Welcome everyone. The first Tier 4 race of GSR, Round 1. We're back here on F1 2020 for Season 4 of GSR. I'm joined by mapracer and I'm joined by GSR Bianchi. How are you both doing?
Doing really good. How about you?
I'm doing good as well. Glad to have you guys on board. Make sure you guys have your audio included. Yeah, first Tier 4 race. Let's do this, you know? It's gonna be a lot of fun. mapracer, you're kind of new to the commentary here, and Bianchi, Tier 4, I mean, you guys have set up this league really well, so obviously, Tier 4, the fact it's got started, the fact it's got the most numbers for a brand new tier in its first race, is something I'm sure you're proud of.
Yeah, I really enjoy the fact that we already have 16, hopefully 17 drivers if Baller joins, but I mean, Tier 3's first race last season had about 12, 13 drivers, so the fact that Tier 4 is already getting off to an amazing start is amazing to see.
And I don't know if you guys missed this or not, but the Red Bull of Super Wyman actually crashed at Stowe, so he has to come back into the pits.
Thanks.
Big yikes.
Now, I just want to kind of go over some stuff from last season and just some stuff from this race previously. This race wasn't ran in Season 1. Season 2, it was ran for Tier 2, though. If I'm correct, yeah, it was just for Tier 2. That race was won off of penalties. Yeah, Bianchi, am I correct? Tier 4 is regular?
Yes.
Okay, alright, cool. And it's a 50% race, and I heard it's a full wet race as well, so that should be good.
It's gonna be some excitement on track.
And DR Bonehead goes up to the top of the boards with a 126.1.
Very good lap.
That's 4/10 quicker than King Cali and second right now for AlphaTauri.
I was going to say as well, Matrix returns to this race as a previous race winner from Tier 3 last season. He was a guy from Tier 3 last season. He's now in Tier 4. He won this race last season. This was his only win. He'd gone on to finish second in the championship. I thought that's worth noting because the guys who finished top 4, top 5-ish in this race, gone on to win races in this Tier 3 season last season. And just in general, I look at a guy like Matrix who's about to start his lap. Could he be another winner? It was a matter of watching the GSR stream last season. We were saying people who pit under the safety car have a chance at winning this race. Matrix was listening to the stream. He used that advice. He gone on to win. I find that pretty interesting that that's happening. There's a car already out that's a McLaren. No, that's a Red Bull actually. That is
in the middle of the racing line.
And
that McLaren?
No, and that's the guy that just spun and broke his front wing just before. So either his setup is not right or his car is not stable.
Kimbo's also got damage from that as well. He's in the McLaren this season. He was, I want to say, in the social races last season, in the off-season events that there were. So was Dominant Square. Both of them make their first starts. Now, the only two people from this race last season to return to Tier 4 and score points that are currently in this lobby right now are CJ Pants and Evil Matrix. CJ Pants, I believe, I want to say that's his... at the time, it was his best finish. It was a 6th place finish, 6th, 7th, around there. So he's sitting down in 10th, but now it's Tier 4. So it's a completely different type of field. It's 16 drivers. It's completely different. Baller, you know, there he is.
There's
joining
Baller.
in Patch for VC, going to the top.
AlphaTauri having an absolutely amazing day. First and fourth, they've already secured. King Cali actually held the fastest lap for quite some time, but then got overtaken by Riley TJ Boy, Bonehead, and now Patch for VC, his teammate.
125.9
I just want to note as well, we already have the most viewers we've had in a GSR stream in a long time, and in the first time we've set up this Twitch as well. About 16 viewers we have right now. I mean, Bianchi,
incredible.
That's incredible numbers. It is, yeah.
I'm not used to seeing that many. Like, why are you stalking us, guys?
No. I mean, last season when we set up the Twitch, when we set up the mixer at the end of the season, for GSR, it was around 12, 13ish, around there, at Bahrain for the finale for all tiers, around that. That was the most we got, but now we're just getting better with it. So yeah, Yeah, Matrix was just speaking as well. The chat can't help it. It gets me wins, you know. I mean, that's what you gotta do. You know, safety car at the start, something like that. You know, that could happen. Now these drivers aren't used to being in leagues just yet. I know there's some people in here who've yet to do a league race on this game. Some people have done social races. Some people have done fun lobbies. Some people have done 5-lappers. You know, there's just that variety of things that people have done. But you have as well that guys in here who've never made a GSR start. I think there's like 10, maybe plus people who've yet to make a start in this league, and not even that as well. I look at last season. No, what was I gonna say? I look at just before, from just league racing, and you know, F1 2019 ended off really decently for league racing, and then everyone was hyping up 2020. Everyone wanted 2020 to be good. And then you just had that kind of vibe where there was glitches and there was stuff that happened. Some of that's been fixed, some of that hasn't. So of course, with that being changed, hopefully people are happy with the way the game is now, and hopefully people are happy that it might be some of their first league races for F1 2020. A completely different game. You know, it's going to be way different to see how people's pace are. We don't know who's going to contend for the championship. We can only make assumptions. The lower tiers as well, from the time trials, just based off of those look more competitive than the higher tiers. The lower tiers did. I did some practice with some tier 2 drivers, as I'm in tier 2, with some guys such as Utah Elephant, Riles, GSR Hamilton, just some of those guys I was practicing with. And last season, I know some of those guys have practiced a lot as well, and I practiced with Riles a lot last season. I practiced with a lot of others last season, and putting practice laps together in this game in multiplayer felt more weird than ever, if you know what I mean. Because, you know, you come back to the game after a while, you do time trial a lot. You know, time trial is a completely different playing field. You know, people were competitive in time trial in the lower tiers. That changes in the race because time trial is such a different playing field than the race in this game. And there's in tier 2, I was practicing with guys just for tier 2, and already you could just see that like the field was so close. The field was back and forth. It was very close between a lot of people, and that's what you like to see. That's what you like to see for sure. Now, heading to tier 4, mapracer, is there anyone in this qualifying session that you see that stands out right now compared to anyone else that could be the big 3 or the guy who dominates, or the guy's contending for the race win here?
I have the feel. I have my money on Bonehead here. I'm gonna have to go with him. Although he is second place right now, I feel like he will stay second or set a faster lap and have amazing consistency and pace during the race.
Bianchi, anything from you? Because I mean, you might see some things that us two don't. You know,
I mean, I think Matrix for me is an obvious pick because he won this race in tier 3 last season, and well, he's shown his true pace. He was consistently on podium last season, and him and Nosman were constructors for McLaren last season. So I mean, if he keeps the pace that he had from tier 3, I think he can probably go out and get a podium and maybe even win.
Yeah, let's remember, him, Raptor, and a lot of others chose that strategy from tier 3 last season. I think it was Nosman who was the dominating, well, not really dominating guy at the time, but probably the fastest guy at the time. There was really no guy who was dominating, but there was a guy who was probably fastest. It was Nosman. And as Rowdy TJ Boys kind of left the session, you guys might invite him to the game. CJ Pants is out of the session as well. But no, last season, Matrix, you know, this race that he won, he held off Raptor, he held off Thrasher. I look at people who he held off. I look at those guys are now in the higher tiers, and Matrix kind of struggling here and down in the lower tiers. If he could perform today and he could do better in the race, I think he could do something spectacular. Matrix, yeah, he's a favorite for sure. But I think, like you had mentioned, Bianchi, favorites for the constructors title, AlphaTauri, Patra VC at the top right now, and there's a Renault. That's Dominant Square. Actually spun round here in Sector 1. But no, Patra VC on pole right now, and the other AlphaTauri, is down in 5th. So you know, I know I'll mess the AlphaTauri name up probably more than once. It won't be the first time that I've done that. I was doing commentary for another league as well, or like practicing it with some people in public, obviously. I was just like messing around, and I kept getting the AlphaTauri name messed up. So yeah, I mean that won't be something just for me to mess up. I'm sure others will too. But yeah, the both AlphaTauris is Akimbos. There you go to the top, 125.7.
What a lap!
He's had a struggle so far in this qualifying session, but he's got himself to the pole right now for that McLaren team.
What a lap. All I'm gonna say, what a lap.
Yeah, but the AlphaTauris, I look at both of them. I mean, I know how patched for VC. I know his pace a little bit. I don't really know King Cali's pace, but from what we've seen in this qualifying session, AlphaTauri looks like the constructors team possibly to beat. But there's Alfa Romeo's coming to the line this time. It's Lewis. If you remember back to last season, he was in contention for an Austria win. Where does he come to the line? He's going to be 8th. He stays there, improves just a little bit. Alfie goes to the line and does not improve. The line as well. Evil Matrix does improve. He's up to 6th, though. Behind that, Renault cannot improve at all. Behind that as well, I believe that's the AlphaTauri of King Cali pitting as well. There's 2 more people you have to do laps. Dominant Square going to complete the checkered flag now. Hey fan, coming to the line this time. Can he improve on his time?
And he
I don't
stopped.
think he can.
Oh wait, he does improve by 0.3.
Might have been out of fuel.
Yeah, I think he is out of fuel.
And that's qualifying over. That's Akimbos on pole right now. 125.7. He's currently fastest of everyone. And he's a 10th ahead of Patrick VC.
There's 25 seconds left of qualifying here. We have... I think almost everybody has completed a lap here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think these are the final qualifying results.
They are.
Axe does not set a time. Very interesting. In the Renault.
Oh, I think we're stuck at the 1 second time glitch. Oh no. Oh man.
Oh no.
Again. I'm pretty sure it fixes itself eventually, does it not?
Yeah, I'm just gonna note, you see GSRX, the account on there, that's in a square. Just racing on that account because there's a problem with Dominant Square's account for F1. So you see the name GSRX, that's Dominant Square right there. So yeah, you'll see that. But yeah, closer within the top 8 than I thought. I mean, Rowdy TJ Boy and Bonehead, pretty close between them. Matrix and King Cali as well. We'll have to wait for the game to load, I guess.
Why is there AI? That's interesting. Or is that another glitch?
Yeah, the thing is with, like you said, I saw in the chat with GSRX, that's Dominant Square. Dominant Square is using his brother's account, GSRX, for that because there's a problem with Dominant Square's account on F1, like I've mentioned before. But here we go for the top 10 of qualifying. Akimbo's taking pole, a British driver taking, you know, a Britain pole position. We saw this back in last season where Utah Elephant, a British driver, took the win. Evil Matrix as well. Patcher VC with some Americans behind. Bonehead, Rowdy TJ Boy running at the top 4. Alfie in the top 5 as well. Then for the final part of the top 10, Matrix, King Cali, Lewis, CJ Pants, and Stavey Cat running at the top 10. Now, as we do speak, of course, the viewers just keep rising and rising up. 26 viewers now. I appreciate you guys tuning in.
Incredible.
And yeah, you see wet.
And it is a wet race.
It is incredible. There you go.
And it's going to look like intermediate tires here.
Now, we saw the same conditions at the start of the Austrian Grand Prix in Tier 2 last season. Does the conditions improve? Does the conditions get worse? We'll have to find out. Now, this is kind of most people's first league race of F1 2020, or at least competitive league race. The thing is, with that being said, some people may not run a 50% race yet. I know Matrix, Lewis, CJ Pants, some of those guys who were in tier 2 last season, or tier 3 last season, those guys only ran 25% races. Now they're running 50% races. And the strategy is kind of interesting because not many people, I don't think not many people have done wet practice, or not many people have really done any dry practice. Well, not really dry practice, but strategy practice as well. So it should be very interesting. 26 laps of the British Grand Prix. And
As we head to 5 red lights. And wait.
Formation lap.
Oh. My bad. I forgot that was on.
I get it.
Whoopsies.
The nerves building up right
I was getting so excited there.
yeah, I'm gonna go through some favorites for this race. We'll go through 3 favorites. Well, 2 favorites for each other. I'll start myself. I'm gonna look toward down in 9th. CJ Pants took some points here last season. In his first, well, not his first race. It was his best finish in this British Grand Prix last season for a home driver at this track. How can he improve on that? How can he change that? How can he get better? This is tier 4. More drivers than tier 3 had last season in this race in Britain. So, of course, more competitive field, more drivers to race against, and, of course, it's a wet start. This will be interesting to see how turn 1 goes as well. My other favorite I'm going to pick as well is the other AlphaTauri, King Cali. Decent pace in qualifying. I find it interesting that both AlphaTauris up at the front. How can King Cali compete in the wet? I've not really seen many of these guys race. It's almost like it's 10 people's first start here in Tier 4. And first start for a lot of guys. Tier 4, first race for them as well. Map Racer, 2 favorites that I didn't choose. Who do you got 2 favorites for?
My money is gonna be on Patrick Voice Chat. I feel like he has a lot of pace, and I feel like he can do good in the wet. And then I also have Bonehead yet again on my as my favorite. Yet again, I feel like he can get that pace to overtake at Kimboss and win the whole thing.
Now, who else do you have as a favorite? You said Patch or VC. Was there anyone else you said? I was
I had Bonehead.
focusing on chat. Okay, Bonehead, yeah. Bianchi, anyone that stands out for you? Right here, 1 favorite or so? Anyone that stands out?
I'm sticking with Matrix for what I explained in qualifying, but how about Rowdy TJ Boy? Because during the mini season, he showed absolutely amazing pace both in F2 and F1. I feel like he can maybe start competing in the front. Like, this driver has been in the league since season 2, but hasn't really raced until now, and now we're finally going to be able to see his true colors today.
Back in another league I commentate, it was a wet race in F1 2019. Akimbos almost was so close to the podium in a tier 3 league that I was in. Now, Akimbos here starts from pole. How can he turn that into his race? And let's see if it's a full wet race or if the conditions get any better. 5 red lights come upon us here in Britain. They rev it up, and we are about to go for tier 4's first race. Drive through
lights out,
penalty
away
for
we
Dylan
go.
already.
Dylan with the drive-through penalty already.
Side with Akimbos into turn 1, not enough for them. Going off the racetrack, Williams and AlphaTauri in the back.
Big crash in the back. CJ Pants and Hi-Fan and Dylan actually out of this. There's a Ferrari spinning up front.
Williams as well.
Chaos already as we start the race.
Now, Evil Matrix, previous race winner from this Grand Prix last season, goes up to 4th, is in between. Rowdy TJ Boy as well. Down the order, Baller goes as well, getting passed by Red Bull. Now, the gap between the lead between Akimbos and Patrick VC, a second between them already. Just a little less than that. And now, Evil Matrix trying to get on Bonehead as well. This is for 3rd position. This is for a podium right now. As Baller is going down the order, got a little bit wide. He goes on the gravel as well. Almost spins. Yellow flags. That's, I believe that's the McLaren in the back as well. Going a little bit slower.
That's the McLaren of Dylan.
The Williams going side by side in Cobb's corner. They survived that. CJ Pants on the wall again. Now out of Maggots Beckett's, there is Bonehead and Patrick VC going wheel to wheel into Stowe.
Side by side.
Wheel to wheel. Bonehead goes ahead.
And Bonehead gets the position. Wow, what a first lap.
TJ Boy and Lewis though. So I think think someone just picked up some free damage just in front of these guys. I saw some people make some contact. I don't know, you can't really tell because the wet conditions. It's a little bit worse than last game to see other cars. And there's contact. Lewis into the barrier.
And he spins out. I don't really know who he contacted with.
I think it was Patrick BC or Rowdy TJ Boy. He made contact with one of them, and he was the one getting worse off of it. He'd gone into the barrier right there. And a second between Bonehead and Akimbos. This is for the race lead right now. But keep in mind, it's regular corner cutting, so you might be seeing some more track extending or people trying to gain an advantage out of Stowe, Cops, maybe Maggots, Beckett's, and maybe right here as well. But that gets close for the race lead. Going off the track, Bonehead runs wide there, goes into the grass, and he's going to lose a bit of time. Here comes Matrix back at it. Race winner from last season. They're side by side out of the corner. And a big contact. There he goes! Into the barrier!
There he goes, he spins!
And Matrix has picked up damage as well.
That's Patrick VC already through to P2, and that's going to put King Cali up to P4. King Cali got involved in that first lap crash at turn 2, got spun completely around, already recovered up to P4, amazing recovery for him.
Flag at the back, that is, I believe that's the Ferrari Renault of Dominant Square Baller. But yeah, you could just tell the rain is coming down much harder. But Rowdy TJ Boy and Patrick VC, they go wheel to wheel here into Stowe. You see the predicted pit stop strategy in the bottom of the screen. One stop, it looks like for most people it should be inners to inners, and it does not look like it'll get any worse. So according to the weather at the bottom of the screen you just saw right there, the weather does not look like it'll get any worse. It looks like it'll stay the same. So it's a full wet race, just intermediate conditions. And into turn 1 now, Rowdy TJ Boy and
Overtake mode
VC,
engaged.
they go wheel to wheel, and there goes Rowdy TJ Boy through for the second position.
And after the first 2 laps, Ackenbaugh's got a very clean start. No contact. He had a lot of clean air to work with. As we see stuff happening on the front straight here. Baller spun out.
Yeah, something happened to him. He's got damage now.
I think him and Square collided.
Two tenths between the Ferrari and Haas. Stevie Cat and Hayfan. This is for the 8th and 9th position as well, while Lewis runs in front of them as well. Third place though, both AlphaTauris. King, Cali, Patrick VC heading into Cops now on the 3rd lap of the race. You also got for the race lead as well. This is changing almost every moment. Rowdy TJ Boy's gap between him and Akimbos. Akimbos getting sideways through Maggots and Beckett's. This might slow his momentum down. Rowdy TJ Boy's going to try to gain for the race lead now out of Maggots, Beckett's, and he
has no more ERS
because it's raining. But yeah, there you go. No ERS right there. He's trying to use overtake.
But he has none. He can't use overtake. He has no ERS. But it looks like he is gaining.
You can just see how much Akimbos is sliding in the wet conditions. I mean, he's barely keeping that race lead as well. I mean, he's just so sideways. He's keeping the race lead the way he is, but he's just, again, like I said, so sideways. And he's got the overtake button, and both of them actually have it right there. Engaged into turn 1. This might actually help Rowdy TJ Boy out into turn 2. He's gaining on Akimbos. He goes to the outside now. They're wheel to wheel.
He's going to go for the switchback.
He's going to switch back.
He's going to switch back again.
And now they'll be side by side.
At turn 5. This is where Magnussen and Grosjean made contact in F1 last season. King Cali is there to take advantage as well. Third now wheel to wheel for the race lead into Sector 2. Akimbos keeping the race lead over Rowdy TJ Boy. And keep in mind, Akimbos, if he had won today, this would be his, if I'm correct, he would win in his first start. So, and this excludes the mini season races, of course. So just keep that in mind.
Look at King Cali. King Cali's actually gaining on these two guys because of their battles right now. I think we could maybe see a 3-way battle for a lead.
Out of Cops again for the race lead. This is close between the two race leaders. And keep in mind, again, going over the curb, you know, that overtake button is going to be so powerful in these straights because keep in mind, there's no DRS in this race. DRS won't be able to, and there he goes sideways off the race lead. Rowdy TJ Boy is going to take the race lead. He goes through, and King Cali gaining on him as well now.
Yeah, Rowdy has no ERS here. His ERS management is very poor right now.
Now now they're side by side, Callie and Akimbos into the chicane. I think Callie hit the back of him right there in the chicane as well.
Yeah, Callie has caught up right to the back of Akimbos and Rowdy.
Hey, fan, and the Red Bull of Super Wallum made contact here. And the Haas has to go off the racetrack while the Racing Point goes through of Bonehead.
And that's Haas around.
And there he goes.
And the Williams of Alexis Sanchez pits. He might have had some contact.
Now, as you see, Rowdy TJ Boyd, how he took the race lead. Akimbos, again, using the overtake button, but he's struggling a little bit. You saw how sideways he was, and he lost the lead. He might even lose another position here to King Callie, who's gaining under the same part of the track again to him. And there's a Haas, I believe that is Hayfan, again going off the racetrack right there, struggling. And for the second position, King Callie does get sideways, but he does go through, and he is ahead of Akimbos. I believe he may have gone to the white line. I don't know if he passed him off track, but he definitely got ahead there that time.
Akimbos is dropping like a stone right now.
He's
in one lap.
Sideways, there he goes! Into the barrier!
Into the wall.
He's kept it going.
He was
Only half his
struggling
wing is
so
gone
much.
though. CF1 Harold's gonna be tucking right behind him. That's gonna be an overtaking Maggots and Beckett's.
And fun fact, CF1 Harold is the biggest mover of the race. Up 8 positions since the start.
In Aiken's amazing race.
He does not like these conditions.
Stevie Cat's going
It's
by.
now Stevie Cat.
Aiken now. And now Aiken
And Stevie Cat also comes in
both
some
had
pits.
Yeah, they both have wing damage. I think they might have. So they both might have had collisions at some point during the race. Well, we obviously know what happened to Aiken, but I'm not sure what happened to Stevie Cat.
While this happens, this puts both AlphaTauris on the podium, and the gap between the race lead is 3.7 between King Callie and Rowdy TJ Boy. 3 of those guys pit. Evil Matrix trying to battle for a podium as well. He would be the only driver here who could repeat a podium from last season, and onto the wets, Stevie Cat does go.
Alfei also in the pits here, in the Williams. And so is Hailfan.
You could tell CJ Pants as well, who's down in 17th. He's on the wets as well. Alfie, yep, or him as well on the wets. CJ Pants, you could tell he's just really struggling right now. He's having a bad race. I don't know if he's in the session. I mean, his car is ghosted, but yeah, you can tell it's so far after lap 1. He's just had a bad race, and you know, you can't get over that. And King Callie, Patrick VC, we missed that overtake, but here comes Matrix as well into Cop's corner now.
Very loose. Now to Maggots and Beckett's here. Callie is trying to catch up to Patch for voice chat here.
Yellow flag. That's Akimbos around.
And Evil Matrix goes past. What a run.
Going the wrong way. He's got disqualified. Akimbos has been disqualified.
I'm not
After
sure
a pole
what
position.
happened.
Yeah. There you have it. And the wets look like they're the better tire right now. You look at Stevie Cat. He's actually gaining on the cars in front. Now, is it the time for wets or not? I mean, he did lose some traction through Cobb's corner there, but again, is it even time for wets? Patrick VC does pit. He might have the strategy just right. Same with
So
Lewis
does Lewis.
as well.
And Super Wowman and Bonehead.
Matrix
Before pitting
just
here, lap
passed
7.
King Callie.
Whole chat spamming F right now. F indeed.
Akim's amazing race. Within 2 laps, he went from P1 with about a 1.5-second gap to 17th and disqualified.
It's crazy how that happens. No matter who you are, you probably got to feel for him because the way it is for him, he was on pole, he lost traction, he spun out. I mean, there was so much that happened to Akimbos, and he was probably going to be in contention for the win, or just anything, you know. And keep in mind, anything could happen in these next few laps, you know. If safety car's even on, we can see one of those. We can see just a lot of things that go on. You see the Williams, and there's Dominant Square and Bonehead going wheel to wheel as Bonehead actually comes out of the pits. They both make contact, and there's contact again. They're the difference of tires, and
it's
now Alfie dives it down the inside.
There's more contact.
He goes through, and there goes
more
Square
contact.
Sideways, and there goes the McLaren around. That's Dylan.
And Baller at the 5
And Baller
second
gets a
penalty
5
for
second time
speeding in the
penalty
pit
for
lane.
speeding in the pit lane. Yes.
I don't know if Thomas Square is damaged there because he ran into another car while he got sideways. He lost the traction out of the corner, and it wasn't so good for him. But now the gap between the race lead is 9 seconds. Does anyone choose to pit for the wets here? Matrix does! This might be a good strategy call because you could see how much Patrick VC is
And
gaining
Matrix
on
with a 5
the
second
intermediates.
penalty and speeding.
Oh no.
So unfortunate.
I think
And yeah, the guys
Rowdy.
in the inners are struggling now.
I think Rowdy may just keep on these tires for as long as he can, but in the end, right now, that's not helping him at all. He's losing so much track position right now by just staying out here.
Not even that. Look at how much more sideways and more just yeah, how the sideways they are now. Much they're about to go around the intermediate guys because there's 5-6 guys left on the intermediates who are still left in the race. I mean, you could just see right here, the wet tires look like the preferred tires at this point. It's just one of those other GSR races. We have a lot of these wet races, and you could just tell that you need to be on the right tire at the right time. And there's a Haas that is off the racetrack. That is Hayfan, actually in Maggots and Beckett's. That is.
And yeah,
Thomas
Rowdy's
Square
driving very slow here. Slower than his usual pace. And he's still on the intermediate tires here.
Look how
And
much
it looks
time
like he's
Matrix is
getting very
gaining
loose.
on
Yeah,
Harold and
it's
Rowdy.
insane. It's insane. Yellow flag again. It's the Haas again, or a little bit slower. Yeah, it's just so much time being gained. Look at Matrix. I mean, he's gonna probably. Rowdy TJ Boy and Harold need to pit right now because where Matrix was, if they don't pit right now, and yeah, he does. He has a car in front of him. That's a lap car as well. That's Hayfan who's actually speeding right there.
Maybe Harold and TJ don't. Oh, never mind. They both pit, I think. No, that's just Rowdy. Well, Harold pit though. I don't see why he wouldn't. Yeah, he is. So that's gonna be Matrix in the
Yeah.
lead with a 5 second penalty for speeding. King Cali in P2.
There you go.
And
You
Patrick
just cursed
VC
him.
in P5.
You just cursed Harold.
There goes
Yep.
Harold.
The
Another
5
speeding
second
penalty. Looks like
Guys
people
have
aren't
got to
timing
learn.
their brakes.
In the wet, you know how to slow down and whatnot. You gotta learn. How am I gonna have to slow down for the pit lane? How am I gonna have to, manage the brakes? Some people are new to wet racing. Some people don't know. And as Rowdy TJ Boy comes out of the pits, he's gonna keep the race lead. But Matrix is actually overtaking Harold here into turn 1. Matrix gains at least about 2 seconds from that. So Rowdy TJ Boy at least pitting this time was a better decision than staying out the rest of the race. And you still have Super Wham on the inners and Alexis Sanchez as well. And Hayfan, who actually pitted for inners.
Yeah, the guys still on entry. They need to pit as Super Wildman getting very, very loose off of turn 1 after turns 1 and 2. Yeah, it's time for wets. These drivers have to realize that.
Heading to Sector 2, you can just see Patrick VC staying ahead of Stevie Cat. And you can see the more traction Stevie Cat has because he's trying to dive it down the inside. He's just there. He's sideways off the corner. He can't get the traction he wants.
He is overtake mode though. He's not gonna get to the back of it. Back of Patch.
He's sideways though, Patches. You can just see how much Stevie Cat is gaining
Here's
on
the
Patch
run.
into Maggots and Beckett's now. He's sideways. Patrick VC losing it. He goes into the barrier.
He's
He actually
out.
misses the barrier.
He resets the track, but his whole race could just be ruined.
Yeah. I mean,
AlphaTauri's-
no, but I'd definitely say, yeah.
AlphaTauri's amazing run they have right now has come to an end with Patrick VC's spin. They're probably comfortably going to take at least P3 and P5, but who knows now.
3 out of the top 5 are Ferrari.
Both Alfa Romeos. That's just their chance to take an advantage. It was 2nd and 5th, and you can just see Bonehead trying to gain on Super Wham here, and he's going to go into the chicane. He looked like he was going to try to make a move, not enough, but Racing Point obviously with third.
And he's
sideways
and he gets
right
so
there.
loose.
Lost it. That's going to be the key word. Tank slapper, sideways, around. That's what you're going to hear in these wet races. You can just see he can't really control the cars much anymore, and he just He just can't really do that. And by the way, want to note as well, CJ Pants actually has the fastest lap right now. That's actually way faster than anyone else. I don't know if that's glitched because I don't think he's in this session. But yeah, I don't think CJ Pants is in the session, and he's got the fastest lap. But besides that, it'd be Rowdy TJ Boy who'd have the fastest lap. Now I'm not sure what would go on there with the fastest lap glitch and the timing glitch that there is. So we'll have to find out what goes on there.
It might have been an AI that set the fastest lap, so we might have to deduct that off if it was indeed an AI that set the fastest lap.
Right. Yeah, that'd probably be fair, you know. Yellow
That's
flag. That's
Patrick
actually
VC.
an AlphaTauri. Again.
There's Super Whammon by on the inters, same with Bonehead. I'm not unsure why Super Whammon's still on those intermediates, and same with anyone else who's on them, which includes Hyphan and Elpit, or no, that's Alexis Sanchez. But
Yellow flag
Whammon,
again. I think that's a Haas somewhere. Where is that? It's a Hayfan again. That's on the hanger straight. Now he's waiting for the rest of the cars to go before going back onto the racetrack. He wants to return to the racetrack safely and not cause an issue. We saw many times last season in Tier 3 where people would back up on the racetrack or have issues with re-entering the racetrack. We don't want to see that there. And the Haas of Hayfan being much smarter about that than some other people as well.
and Patrick VC pits for what I assume was probably either new tires or new wing, because those tires are probably fried. But then again, they are wet tires, so maybe you might be pitting onto a different tire.
And we're not even halfway into this race, and we've already had the chaos we've had for Tier 4 already. We've had multiple spins. We had a crazy start. We had guys going to the right tire. You have to be on the right tire at the right time, but Matrix is back to his gap where he was. I don't want to jinx anything, and I know I probably will, but I'll just say it. Matrix, with the run he's going right now, he can be back on the podium. But is he going to win the race? Don't look like it right now. Rowdy TJ Boy has that comfortable lead by 9 seconds. He's using his overtake button. Now he dismisses it. So what I'm curious to see is this battle for the podium, which is heating up, because King Cali is sideways and almost goes around. And now for the podium, Stevie Cat goes through. And Lewis as well. He goes through a mistake.
King Cali touches the back of Lewis there, and he gets even more. And as Hailfan gets a 5-second time penalty for crossing the white exit line. Very unfortunate.
AlphaTauri's day has went from absolutely superb to just god-awful.
And now it's gone from AlphaTauri in qualifying and at the start to now Alfa Romeo, the other Alpha, spelled differently, taking over. It's Lewis and Evil Matrix. That's the battle for the podium. You know, I don't really expect to see many penalties because it's regular corner cutting, but you just never know because some people might be track extending, might be trying to get all they can. Rowdy TJ Boy, nothing for him. Matrix has that warning and 5-second penalty. Stevie Cat, 2 warnings from the first lap. Could have been collisions, you never know. So again, that's the thing. Drivers might be trying to get all they can, track extend, because it's regular corner cutting. Of course, with Tier 3 and Tier 1 tomorrow, that's 50%, that's strict corner cutting. We've seen rain here in Britain from GSR. We've seen it in Tier 2 last season, almost a full wet race. And we also saw as well, Tier 3 have it in qualifying. Now we see it here.
And one thing to point out is that there is 3 Ferrari-powered engines in the top 5. So could we see the Ferrari vehicles make a push for the championship this season?
Yeah, I look at that strong lineup, but I also look at AlphaTauri because I don't know if you remember this, Bianchi, but if you remember back to France, it wasn't really Matrix and Nosman, I don't think, in the Tier 3 championship with the debut of Tier 3 leading that championship. I don't think it was them. I honestly think it was another team. Let me check. Yeah, it was Alfa Romeo actually leading at the start, as there's King Cali actually getting overtaken for a position there by the racing point of Harold. But no, I look at last season and I look at where was McLaren at the end of the first race. They were 6th. They gone on to win the championship. It's not just going to be one race really that determines all of it. And there's a yellow flag. That's a Williams and a Red Bull. That's Alfie, and that is actually Super Whammon as well. But that's a DNF for Hayfan out of the race at Stowe.
Will that bring out a safety car though? We haven't seen a safety car yet, so I don't know.
Not even a VSC.
Yeah.
Well,
really
actually,
oh,
hold
there,
up, because
there
Matrix.
it is.
There you go. This is big for Matrix because he actually has damage right now. Matrix is going to need to repair his wing because look at his left side front wing. He's got damage. If the previous winner from last season in Tier 3 wants to win this race or do better and not get overtaken on the safety car restart, he needs to
Super
Super
whammin'
whammin'.
with a drive-through penalty.
That's going to be race changing.
And this safety car changes everything as well. 15 drivers in this race. CJ Pan's kind of picking up that safety car as well. But, you know, I look at this and say, are you going to go new tires to the end? What are you going to do? Because there's some people like Stevie Cat and others who've been in wets for a while. Is it back for inners? Because I just saw Alexis Sanchez pit for the inners. You know, is it back to inners? What's it going? What's going to happen? You need to be at the right. You need to be on the right tire at the right time. This was the way it was last season. This was the way it was in Tier 2. Last season's race here. You need to be on the right tire at the right time when the conditions change. If the conditions change, you need to make that move as early as possible, but at the right time. You can't make it at the wrong time because Alexis Sanchez gets the drive-through for speeding. But
Again.
like as we see Rowdy TJ Boy pitting,
And Evil Matrix.
probably will pit here. No, he's gonna stop toward the pits. He's actually gonna stay out. Interesting. He's got damage. That's a mistake for Matrix. That's a mistake right now. I'm saying that right now. That's a mistake. King Cali, collision.
And King Cali
Harold,
5 seconds
5 second.
penalty. As Stevie Cat comes into the pits in the Ferrari.
Guys, what I'm curious about here is the two Alfa Romeos are going to sit 1-2. I mean, for the constructors fight this season, or even the drivers fight, I see both Alfa Romeos, both AlphaTauris, both Red Bulls. I see those guys being the three teams that are up at the front for the constructors fight. We saw in Tier 1 last season. There was the fight all the way to the last round at Bahrain in Tier 1 between three different teams. We could see this. And now, Rowdy TJ Boy does pit. He comes out third out of the guys, but Matrix and Lewis, they've yet to pit. They've been on the wets for a while. They're taking a huge gamble. They're both Alfa Romeos stay out while Matrix has damage. Lewis sitting on the racetrack. Lewis has to see what he can do with his teammate. Can he be maybe the guy who is wingman for a Matrix? I know these two are friends, so how does things turn out? Because is it seriously a big mistake here for Matrix staying out if he wants to win this race? Because he has damage.
I mean,
It is
Matrix,
a huge mistake.
He has the pace to like keep up with them with a good car, but like with wing damage at this track, that is going to be very detrimental to this pace.
Especially in the wet.
Yeah.
By the way,
That is more of an issue as
we
well.
hit 31 viewers in the stream.
Yeah. There you go.
Absolutely incredible.
If we didn't already have the most viewers in one stream before, I think this is probably now it.
Yeah, this is it, yeah. And another problem that Matrix is having, he might even pick up more wing damage if he keeps riding right behind the safety car. He's just right on the safety car. I mean, you can tell Matrix really wants to get going. He's like, come on, get going. I have damage. You know, you can just tell he wants to get going. You can tell he wants to get this thing back underway.
Yeah, and it's a huge mistake from him. His wing damage is going to cost him so much time. Lewis, Rowdy, Harold, Stevie, everybody in this front pack, or everybody that lines up behind the safety car, is going to most likely take him, especially the cars that did pit for new fresh front wing and new tires.
This also, you see got more guys pitting for inners. Is it possibly going down the weather? You know, is it possibly
It looks
going
like
to
it.
inner comedic conditions? You know, is it a mistake for Rowdy TJ Boy to pit? Because now he's sitting on the wets. He might have to even pit again himself. And Matrix, if he pits, he's going to have to repair the damage. I mean, you could just see how wet it is behind the car, but you go to someone such as Patrick VC or Dylan here back in 12th, 13th, they actually have the advantage to catch up to someone now. Those guys are were close to being lapped pretty soon, and now this is their chance to come and catch back up while they had issues. And I look at the different tire choice. 4 guys on inners, the rest of the 11 on wets. Patrick VC losing it!
And he pulls a
Keeps it
Grosjean
going.
at Azerbaijan. Unfortunate.
Luckily,
he
Grosjean
spins.
was not in the race.
Yeah,
I don't think.
but still he
Patrick
did spin
VC
under
and-
safety car.
Patrick VC and Dylan, there was just no way they were gonna get back to the safety car pack in time.
Yeah, I don't even think so. Yeah. I don't
Maybe
think so as well. Look at how much farther behind.
Dominant Square, Sanchez, and Lemon can, but I don't know about the other few.
keep in mind, Dominic Square sitting here in 11th. He's in the wet tires. He's been on the wet tires for a while. Could he be on for his first points? I mean, I look at where the pack of the cars is. He might be the last one to catch up because you see how far Dylan and Patrick VC are back. There's no way they're catching up. There's no way because the safety car is probably going to be in this lap, and we're going to have a 10 to go shootout here. Well, actually 11 to go, but still, you know, same thing pretty much.
We have to watch Rowdy here. His wet tires have 0 laps on them. Very, very fresh wet tires compared to the 2 Alfa Romeos that have 6 and 7 laps on the wets.
And
Not
PMA
even
11,
that. Matrix
11
lead
laps
damage.
and 11 laps and 10 laps can make a massive difference. You remember Tier 1 last season when F1 driver and Maggots and Beckett on the final lap got that penalty and lost the race.
Keep in mind, Matrix has that speeding penalty still, and I don't think the safety car is coming in. I think it's staying out.
I think they're waiting for the other 3.
But yeah, I think people to watch on this restart is definitely going to be Bonehead, Callie, Stevie Cat, and Rowdy, 100%. They're all on fresh, wet tires. I think they're going to make a push for podiums here.
But yeah, Bianchi, you bring up a good point because last season it was 11-10. Well, it was 11-12 to go shootout with F1 driver Houndoom, Race and Axe, and I forgot who else it was. They were all involved. V2. They were all involved in that battle for the podium, and then there was the battle for the win. F1 driver Houndoom. You see a lot of trains in Britain, a lot of DRS trains. Those guys had the pace with the win. Between you had F1 driver Houndoom. Those guys were battle for the win. F1 driver took a penalty. Maggots and Beckett's. Keep in mind, Matrix has damage, has the 5-second. If this win is between Lewis, as you see King Callie and someone else just picked up 5 seconds for colliding with people under the safety car, but I look at Lewis and Rowdy TJ boys, how can they attack Matrix? Lewis, is he going to be wingman? Is he going to try to go for the win himself? What is he going to do? Because I look at it to the point where Matrix and Lewis are teammates. I know these two are friends, and they raced pretty well last season. So I look at it as Alexis Sanchez, 5-second for him. I look at it to the point where Matrix, Lewis, how are they going to work together as teammates? Because those two are 1-2 right now. Matrix has damage. Lewis could go for the win. Rowdy TJ Boy has had the fastest car probably this race. So how do you look at it if you're someone who's maybe 4th on back and maybe just inside the points there, because those guys could maybe take advantage of Matrix if he causes trouble, because he is damaged. Mapracer, I was going to ask, Matrix leading the race with damage. This is a big question. How are things going to go for him? Because he could obviously make a mistake, crash people. Maybe his teammate could play a factor into him winning this race. What can happen?
I think what's going to happen is that Matrix is going to do the right move here. He's going to let Lewis through, but then what's going to happen is that everybody on the fresh wet tires and people that do not have front wing damage, they're just going to blow on past. He's going to have so much less grip than all the other drivers on this restart.
Look at Lewis backing up the pack, though. You have a collision in the back between Bonehead and I believe it's Alexis Sanchez. You see Lewis actually backing up the pack a bit compared to where Rowdy TJ Boy is. And now the safety car's coming in. Matrix is going to try to go, but he can't go yet. There he goes now. He's heading into the final chicane, and the green flag is waving. There's some people actually going to the pits now. It's Alfie, maybe serving that penalty. King Callie as well, but
Wildman's in the pits as well.
It's Bonehead getting past, but now for the race lead. Lewis, 6-10 gap between him and Matrix. But the battle for the race win off of penalties right now is going to be between Rowdy TJ Boy and Lewis. There's a crash at the back, I believe. That's Dylan spun around in the front straight. While this is happening, there's 2 people who are pitting here at the very back. Inners and wets going on for some people. A mix of tires.
I feel like
yep.
I feel like a Matrix ends up pulling away from the pack here. I could see Lewis maybe trying to intentionally hold up Rowdy TJ Boy and everyone behind him. Maybe to get Matrix this win and Alfa Romeo at 1-2.
I mean, team orders are team orders, but don't brake tech someone. I think I learned that one. But no, seriously though, how is Lewis going to fight Rowdy TJ Boy compared to Matrix? If Matrix makes a mistake here at some point, how is Lewis going to go attack him? Is he going to go attack him, or is he just going to hold up Rowdy TJ Boy so Matrix hits a 5-second gap, you know? Because maybe Lewis and Matrix might want to get 1-2 here, you know? I mean, you got to think about it. Constructors lead, they got it right now if the thing stays the way it is.
Yeah,
Yep,
100%.
And if the race were to end right now and the gaps would be to be applied, Matrix would be demoted all the way down to P5 from P1.
Yeah. And now you see as much as well. Harold is getting on TJ Boy. While this is happening, this could bring other cars into the mix of things. You see on the inners, Alexis Sanchez. You see Stevie Cat. If Lewis does play that train where it's kind of like Monaco 2019. Oh,
And
there
Rowdy
goes
spun.
TJ Boy for spin.
And he's ruined
This
his
is
race.
huge. This is huge. This is majorly huge.
Wow.
This
He had the
this could be
fastest
easy.
car all race.
This could be easy for Alfa Romeo now, because I think Matrix is a lot faster than CF1 Harold. How has Harold recovered up in P3 though? Because
And he spins again!
P2. Yeah, because Harold was P2 with old intermediates earlier. He's already recovered up to
Bonehead
P3.
as well. But with all this, Dominant Square actually moves up to a top 5 position right now. This is majorly huge for a lot of these guys. Wet conditions is going to be changing things right now. If Matrix were to, if the race were to end right now, he'd be down in 3rd. But I look at this as 2019 Monaco. The reason I say this is because 2019 Monaco, Hamilton was on worn tires. Lewis Hamilton was, and Verstappen was trying to overtake. And you had behind that as well. I believe it was Bottas, and I believe it was a Ferrari as well, trying to overtake or trying to be within that pack of cars, trying to get by Lewis because Lewis Hamilton was on the slower tire, well, the worn tires, and he looked like he wasn't going to make it. Now, does Lewis go for this win and just say, Matrix, you're finishing 3rd, or does he go and hold up Harold here and make sure it's a 1-2 for Alfa Romeo? What does he do?
And since the beginning of this lap, Harold has closed the gap between him and Matrix by 1 second. I like to point that out.
That's the thing, because the only thing that's going to change this from overtaking
Matrix
is Matrix
pits.
actually pits. Wow, this is
Finally pits.
major. This is major.
But yet again, he's made a huge
Stevie
mistake
Cat
here.
pits too.
Matrix
Wow.
has made a huge mistake here. You know, he could have pitted on the
That'll be
safety car.
Dominant Square in P3.
Yeah,
I think.
actually
No,
pits,
but he
though.
pits too.
Actually pits.
I think it's Inner's time.
So does Bonehead and so does
Inners,
Rowdy.
but Lewis and Harold actually stay out though. Matrix made the right call here. This could be what wins him the race. I didn't even notice that.
But yeah, if you look at the weather conditions here, it does seem like the rain is dying down, which yeah, it means it's
Very
time for
much.
intermediate tires.
Will this win be battled out between Stevie Cat and Evil Matrix?
Alfie, look at him. He's
Oh
gained
my-
up a position. He pitted actually the lap before this. He's only 2 seconds behind Matrix. This could be huge for this race win.
So
In the-
Alfie
in the
could
undercut
maybe
work.
win
sideways.
this.
So this race, as you see, Matrix, look at how much he's gaining. He might really need Lewis to step it up here because now he's gaining a second by as we speak.
Harold could come out up front
28
of
seconds.
Matrix actually, if he plays his cards right in the pit lane.
Yeah, because
But-
if you think about it, flag Dylan, that is, actually going off the racetrack. But if you play this right, if you're Matrix, you know, how do you look at things? How do you, the gap between the lead is 27 seconds, now 26. The thing is, pit stop takes a very long time here. Lewis can't really be that wingman that we said he could be anymore because Alfie is actually gaining, and
Oh
he's
my goodness.
only 2.5
They
behind.
stay out. Lewis and Harold have stayed
Wow.
out.
Matrix
This is
is
This is bold.
I think
Matrix is
they're
flying here.
they're really
They're
hoping
doing good
that
strategy.
they're hoping the
Gap
rain
down
either
to
picks up
24
or they keep that
seconds.
gap.
The only problem with them staying out, though, is look at how worn their tires are, though. Look at how worn they
Yeah.
are. That's going to be the issue.
Let me see.
I don't know. For all we know,
Oh
this
my
might be
God,
their
yeah.
strategy call.
10 and 12 laps worn on wets compared to fresh intermediates for Evil Matrix. And the
Steve gets
intermediates
locked out.
are the right tire right now. So I think Matrix has got this in the bag.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's 6-7 laps left. On average, he's going to have to gain Matrix's 3 seconds per lap here. Now, if these guys are in the front 2 pit, that's their race win gone. Think about that. You know, and not even that, Matrix don't even have to gain 3 seconds per lap. He needs to gain more than that because of the 5-second penalty. And purple sector right there, 5/10 up on his lap right now. He could even still fast his lap. At least compared to CJ, because he might get the fastest lap out of everyone. Because I know CJ's car was disconnected. So besides that, you have Rowdy TJ Boy, who's on the inners as well. 139.8, Matrix at 140.5. I mean, you look at this and you gotta say, wow. I mean, this could be really race changing. Stevie Cat's actually joined back the session though, and you see the gap between Matrix, Lewis, Harold, 16 seconds now.
And I think Matrix is gonna get DRS here from CJ. Oh wait, no, he does not. He's 1.5 seconds faster than his fastest lap.
Harold pits. This is interesting. He's really trying to go to the inners now. I think
he's gonna pass.
I think Evil Matrix might be using Lewis as a guinea pig, maybe having him test out what's like in the wet tires and seeing if the inners call was correct. And clearly the intermediates was correct, so I mean,
yeah,
I'll see why Lewis has a pit. Now
I'm looking at the fastest laps right now. And yeah, 138.5 now. We see Alfie cross the line. He doesn't go faster compared to his lap. Stevie Cat, disconnected car, doesn't go faster as well. Rowdy TJ Boy though, he was up on his time. He actually is faster than Matrix right now, which is quite interesting because the gap between them is pretty big. But if we get another safety car, Rowdy TJ Boy could be in contention to win this thing.
It's another Alfa Romeo 1-2 as well.
As of right now, yeah.
And then we have Alfa here in the Williams, trying to hold on to this podium spot. As Stevie Cat currently in 4th, he's not that far behind from Alfie. So I think if Stevie Cat can really push here, he can catch up and get a podium spot, and to make it a Ferrari engine power podium.
This is for 11th now. Patch for VC and Super Whammon. They go wheel to wheel here.
Whammon's using overtake
the
mode.
Outside.
Around the outside, he gets
contact.
Super Whammons by for P11. Now he's got to chase down XT1 Dylan. And Dylan's also trying to chase down Dominant Square as we speak as well.
I look at where I don't have the gap on my screen because it's kind of glitched right there, but I look at right now where Lewis could be. I mean, you look at the gap between him and Matrix. As Lewis comes to the line, he's so much slower than Matrix. I mean, as we see Matrix come to the line, let's see the gap between Matrix and Lewis. You see right here, 6 seconds. Where Lewis can, Super Whammon's actually spun. You see Lewis and Matrix right now, as there's other cars coming to the line, Williams, and he's got a train of cars as well. You see the gap between Lewis and them. Matrix is gaining about almost 4 or 5 seconds a lap now because of how much better the intermediate tires are. If that's the case, Lewis might not even be in the podium. He might not even be that way.
Yeah.
Now you have to consider these two tires. They're two completely different tires right now. The wets are completely just not the right tires for these conditions, while the inters have a lot more grip. Do you think the Alphas can maybe collide? I mean, with how little grip Lewis has, if they try passing each other, who knows what could happen?
I wouldn't think they'd
Matrix
collide.
also served his 5-second as well. I was just gonna say that. Keep in mind he served that, so he don't have to worry about that. But yeah.
Yeah, the thing I was gonna say is that I think if the smart play here is for them not to collide, which I don't think they will, but I think for them not to collide, Lewis has to let Matrix through. He's obviously faster. I mean, look at him. He's gaining so fast,
Right
and he
there.
actually passes him on the back straight, heading into Stowe.
But Lewis challenges back though. Matrix keeps the lead, but again,
But yeah,
this is gonna be
the
for
grip.
the race win right there. And Matrix, yeah. Lewis is gonna stay off the rest of the race. Lewis could sit here and be outside of the podium, and this could bring Stevie Cat, Alfie, and Rowdy TJ Boy. Rowdy TJ Boy being the dominant car this race, this could bring him to a podium. This really good.
and you have to remember, Lewis's tires are 15 laps old. Excuse me, as we come to lap 23. 15 lap old wet tires. Wets aren't even the right tire right now. And they're 15 laps old. So Lewis has literally no grip right now on the racetrack.
And This is for podium now. Alfie gets loose, or sideways. He's gonna get overtaken here. He just got overtaken by the Ferrari. Now it's the Red Bull's turn. Rowdy TJ boy. Look at how much more grip he has. He can just get by him pretty soon. And they go wheel to wheel here out of turn 4, now to turn 5. Rowdy TJ boy's ahead.
Yeah, Stevie and Rowdy both had 2 laps fresher tires than Alfie, so maybe that could have been an influence on the overtakes, but we don't really know.
I just want to keep in mind there's still a battle for points as well as we speak between 9th, 10th, and lower. Dominic Square, Patra VC, Alexis Sanchez, and King Cali, who's not even in the session. But the thing is,
and Wobman as well.
That's for points right there. Yeah, he's
Wobman.
actually got there. I didn't even see that. He just got to this battle pretty soon and quickly.
He overtakes Cali, but Cali's obviously on the session. But I feel like Wobman is really pushing right now. He's catching up to Alexis Sanchez. That corner cut.
That's Alfie actually off. He's off the racetrack right now at the
CF1
X
Harold.
Beckett's.
How about Racing Point? And right now, if we ignore Alfa Romeo, they are 5th and 7th. That's an easy 16 points to start off their season right now.
But yeah, the driver I'm watching here is definitely Stevie Cat. We need to see him push right now, but he is catching Lewis very, very, very quickly because of Lewis being on the wet tires. And he's really pushing now, 1.6 seconds heading into turn number, I think, 3. And
This could be a 3-way battle.
Keep in mind where Matrix Lewis and Stevie Cat started is, for the second position now. It's Stevie Cat Lewis, wheel to wheel. And
here comes
Stevie
Rowdy.
Cat ahead. You can just see Lewis is struggling.
Rowdy
Yeah,
overtakes.
there you go, Rowdy TJ boy.
Very clean overtake. Lewis has no grip. He's completely screwed over his race. It's
Not even to
unfortunate.
mention, look at where these guys started. Matrix starting down in 6th. This is where he started down back in around that area back in season 3 last season in this race. As well as Stevie Cat down started in 8th or 10th. And he's probably gonna finish in the podium here by the looks of it, unless you don't bin it.
But yeah, I think Matrix has this race in the bag, unless he makes a huge mistake here. He's definitely going to win the race. Unless Stevie Cat can pull in 6 seconds a lap.
This is Rowdy TJ boy and Stevie Cat. And out of ERS is Rowdy TJ boy. That's not going to help him in this situation. But into Stowe for what's going to be
he gets a
2
good
laps to go
run.
this time.
He gets loose a little bit. Round the
It's to
outside.
the outside.
Now.
Still side by side.
Still
Coming out
side
the
by
final
side,
corner,
yes.
it's the penultimate. And that's Rowdy TJ Boy through up into P2.
But I think Stevie's going to fight back here. As there's yellow flags in Sector 2 at Magnuson Beckett's. And in
Patra
Sector
VC.
3 at Stowe. I think that's Alexis Sanchez off. It is.
CF1 Harold right up to the back of Lewis, who still is out on the wet tires. I did not get that strategy call at all.
He hits the back
And
of
they've
him.
hit him.
Again. He can't go by. Right here.
Oh.
He tries it. He hits the back of him.
He's back. He's
touch
back. Yeah,
between
he's
them.
so scared. He knows
must be
Lewis
very
is so much
frustrated.
slower.
He knows he can get by, but he just can't. He wants to try it at the right time. He might be able to go to the outside here, into the left-right hander. He might be able to try it. If he goes, he's gonna try it here.
Yeah, he's
But
going.
again, he's not trying
He
the
has no
outside.
grip.
No.
This is
He
really
has
helping
no
his
grip.
teammate. And
Lewis
yep,
has to fight
finally
it. They
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah, Lewis gets really far back there. But yet again, he's so much slower. The strategy call was awful on his behalf.
And
This
yep,
time, Matrix will be coming to the final lap as well. 12-second lead for him.
and DR Bonehead
I think he's going to do it.
is up next.
Here we go out of the final corner onto the final lap of the British Grand Prix here. We're for Tier 4. And I think Matrix is going to do it here.
Dear, to the outside, and they've touched
And
again.
Bonehead trying to just get past. He runs way off the track there.
Might be an illegal
does get the
overtake, actually.
position.
Yeah, will he have to give it back? I mean, it's questionable. I mean, did he overtake him before then or not? You know, Dominant Square and Super Whammon go wheel to wheel through Stowe. Dominant Square is going to stay ahead, actually, and Lewis, think about it. Heading through Abbey, he's going to have to spin here. 18 laps in these wets. How he is not spun through there, I don't know. He's really surviving it, really
slow. Very, very slow. I mean, he's going 240 kph through turns 1 and 2, and although it is the wets, that is extremely slow, as I've also experienced Britain in the wet, and that is extremely slow for turns 1 and 2.
Well, Whammon maybe
For
try and
P9,
move into
this
Brooklands on this end of this straight.
Overtake button engaged. Vote for both of them, actually. I'm going to square off the racetrack just a little bit. Now for this is P9. The ship sheet might matter just a little bit, but now into Sector 2, it's not enough. Alfie and Lewis, though, these two trying to overtake as well. Let's watch Alfie because he might get to the outside here. He's got so much more traction compared to Lewis. To the outside it is into Cox Warner. They're side by side.
Whammon and
Matrix
touch.
Matrix to the chicane for the final time. He won Britain last season. He'd gone down to Tier 4, and he's going to win back-to-back races in Silverstone. A Grand Prix home winner for Evil Matrix. He takes the checkered flag.
What a drive.
And for 6th.
Beckett's.
Another caution flag. I think it's... Can't tell. Oh! Alexis Sanchez is out of fuel.
Side by side between Square and Whammon. And now as well, Lewis and the McLaren of Dylan. Dylan's had a struggle of a race. He might try to get 7th here. They're going wheel to wheel. Lewis goes off the racetrack. Dylan goes ahead.
No
and
grab.
Now for 9th and 10th, Dominant Square and Super Whammon. This is for points. 9th and 10th this is. Dylan had a 5-second penalty. Lewis moves up a position because of penalties as well, but to the line, Super Whammon is going to go and stay behind, but Dominant Square is going to go up to 8th as well in his first race.
Whammon with a 5-second unserved penalty. A lot of people did not serve their penalties. King Cali crosses the line in P12 because of penalties. And Alexis Sanchez is going to come home with no fuel into P13.
What a race.
What a race. That was so exciting.
Say we do. That'd be right.
Man, the wet just makes it exciting. What a race.
My pick at the beginning came out on top.
Yeah. I didn't think he survived with that wing damage, but he really did. He was just so much more faster. Matrix was. He didn't repair the wing damage at the end, but this is what mattered at the end. Being on the right turn at the right time, and Matrix did so. That's what this race was about, being on the right turn at the right time. You had to be on the right turn at the right time. And again, if you weren't, you wouldn't win the race. Matrix won the race.
And here's the podium. Matrix up on top in the Alfa Romeo. And 2 Ferrari-powered cars on the podium. Could this be a trend leading into the rest of the season here?
Just want to say as well, Alfa Romeo, they'll be leading the constructor standings, but keep in mind where Racing Point is. They got 4th and 5th at the end of this race, so you never know.
You never know. This is going to be one heck of a season here. It's so close. It just came down to consistency around here. A lot of drivers were making mistakes, and the consistent drivers, like Evil Matrix, like Rowdy, and Stevie Cat, they came out on top for a reason, because they were more consistent than everybody else.
What do you say we get the rest of the podium in here, Bianchi?
Yep.
Yep,
And
here's Matrix.
If you want to include your audio, we're going to ask you some questions.
Well, Matrix, it wasn't based off the stream this time. It was based off your decision here. Your choice,
Yeah.
Wow. Different this time.
Here's Rowdy.
Wow. Well, Matrix. Make sure you include your audio, Matrix. You won this race in Tier 3 last season. You were a first-time winner at that point. Come to Tier 4, returning to this race, being the previous winner. You go back to back. Make sure you have your audio included. How about that one? You didn't have to rely off the stream this time. You had to rely on yourself. And you and Lewis, different strategies, but Alfa Romeo will be leading the constructor standings. You'll be leading the driver standings.
Yes.
How do you see it after this race and your chance at a championship this season? Because you finished second last season in Tier 3. And how do you see as well your chance at more race wins because now you won this race as well.
I mean, the way it was quite a deciding factor. Obviously, everything's unpredictable. Like because there was a lot of like different pit stops going on, a lot of different penalties. But I'm confident that I can continue and win more races, and hopefully get the drivers and constructors. Obviously, with Lewis getting a few wins too.
Now, I know you and Lewis are teammates. Tell me Lewis's decision to stay out of wets and your decision to go to inners, because you had to be at the right tire at the right time, but you guys did different strategies. You guys still keep the constructor's lead from it, at least. You guys will. But still, you win the race. You have him back in 6th. He stayed out for a while. What were you thinking the right decision was? Were you thinking he should stay out and try to see how the wets are? You should go to the inners and see how they are? You made the right strategic call. You won this race by that.
I was definitely pushing him to go on the inners, but he didn't want to take the gamble, because he thought he would just get like completely jumped down to 5th. But then, like a few laps after, it was too late to actually pit without like losing all of his position. So all he had to do was just kind of nurse an injured car home, because there was nothing he could do at all. Like
Now,
that was it.
I've got to ask. Sorry to cut in. Now I've got to ask the wing damage you had. How'd you get that? How'd you get the damage?
It was actually with what's his name, Dr. Bones or something. When we were coming on the cops, he turned into me. I left him plenty of space on the inside, and he turned into me, which messed me up. But thankfully, the wing damage wasn't actually hurting, so I could still drive properly without it, with the wing damage, so it wasn't race crippling, which is good, because if I had to pit to repair it, I think I would have lost it. I don't think I would have won.
Congratulations on your win. Mapracer, Bianchi, do you guys have any questions for Evil Matrix, the winner?
I got nothing.
Yes, I have one. I wanted to get your choice on why you didn't pit under the safety car, because we were wondering about that up in the booth over here. We were wondering why you didn't pit under the safety car, because that could have been a free pit stop right there.
Well, to be fair, I mean, at the first part of it, we were just spamming the weather stuff, like the weather reports, and he kept saying inters and wets are the fastest tires, but we didn't want to take it in case the rain got a bit heavier and then have to pit again on the wets. But then thankfully, after the safety car went in, it said inters was faster, so I was able to get a free pit stop in, because a lot of people had already pitted and then they'd have to pit again, which is good because that played out in my favour.
It did play out in your favor.
Alright, since PMB's not here, move on to Rowdy TJ boys. So, Rowdy, I mean, you were in P2 for quite some time there before your spin. What was going through your head after that?
I was kind of angry, but I just wanted to focus on getting back up through the field and try and make the most out of it.
Yeah, your race had plenty of ups and downs from what we saw. I think you had one other incident that I don't think was your fault at all beforehand. And that was a very up and down race for the Inter, so I'd imagine you were happy with the result.
Yeah.
And Map, you got any questions?
I do. Rowdy, you were the dominant car of this race. It played into people's favor, being at the right tire at the right time. How do you look at yourself as a contender for the Tier 4 championship, and how do you look at yourself from this race? What can you change and what can you improve on into the upcoming races?
I feel like I can improve on making better strategy calls, for one. Two, just to take it more easy in the future, because that's what ended it for me.
Bianchi, Matt Bryce, you guys got any other questions for Rowdy TJ boy?
Nope.
Stevie Cat, I believe you're here as well. Make sure your audio is included.
Yep.
Up and down race for you. How did you look at your race? You got a podium out of it, so you got to be happy at least somewhat.
Yeah, first off, I got to say, well done to Rowdy there. The overtake right near the end of the race. That was a really good move from them. I really enjoyed that final battle. Yeah, it was all over the place, the race in terms of position. I think I got as low as 14th at one point because of the first turn incident. But then it was just basically being on the right tire at the right time and being able to keep control of the car while everyone else was losing it.
It was a mix of up and down, races. You started at the back. You got your way up there. You got on the podium. How do you look yourself for the championship and just in general for future races? What can you improve on? What can you change? What can you have be better for you in these future races?
I think getting some more practice on the tracks beforehand. I kind of came into this one blind, so the only time real track practice I got for this was during qualifying. Other than that, I think I'm just going to keep on being consistent. I think qualifying showed my drive pace wasn't quite up there as high as everyone else, but consistency seemed to have worked really well for me this race. So if I can just stay consistent and keep my head clean, I should be able to score some decent points each round.
Congratulations on a podium, P3. You must be happy with that. Thank you for your time. Bianchi, mapracer, do you guys have any questions for Stevie Cat?
Not got any.
I don't think mapracer does as well.
Nope, I do not have any
Bianchi,
questions.
mapracer, you guys, you had to be on the right tire at the right time. You had to make the great strategy call. You had to do what you had to do to be on the podium. There was multiple things you had to do to win this race, be on podium. We saw contact off the start. We saw a safety car. How much the 10 laps make the difference? We saw last season, Bianchi, those 10 laps, 11 laps, whatever made the difference in that race. It changed a lot because of the penalty in the final lap and Maggots Beckett's. We also saw as well, just in general, just guys go to a certain tire, such as Lewis stay on the wets for like 18 laps. How he made it, I don't know, but still impressive. So you had to be at the right tire at the right time. How'd you guys look at this race?
I looked at it as just an absolutely chaotic race because, well, in a very good race too, because throughout the entire pack, there's always at least a battle happening at somewhere on that track. And there's usually also somebody spinning out on the track too. So like there's a decent mix of chaos and amazing races, and just overall an amazing race for Tier 4. Tier 4's first thing.
Yeah, that was very, very, very exciting. A lot of action. Tire choice. That's what it really came down to. But there was so much battles going on, so much spins. Even that lap 1, turn 1 chaos that happened. If you got through that, you got a really clean start. And overall, it was just such a fun race to commentate and watch because, like we always say, the wet makes the race that much more exciting.
Obviously, you don't have as much overtaking in the wet, but you also have as well. I honestly think that was a good race. The way to open Tier 4 up, I found it interesting. I mean, I look back to just the way Tier 1 opened up. We had that battle all race long between two McLarens and Ferrari in France on Tier 1 in the first ever league race in this league, GSR. I look at that as a wet race because there was always that gap for the race lead that would always pull out, but there'd always be that battle. There'd always be someone battling. And something these Tier 4 drivers need to get used to, especially Matrix, Lewis, and CJ Pants, the guys who were from Tier 3 last season. They need to get used to racing some of these guys because they might not know some of these guys as much. I know Matrix, Lewis, they know each other. CJ Pants, they've raced each other. So the thing I look at is that throughout the season, you're gonna have to learn how to race these guys because You might have to race someone more aggressively than others because, you know, they put up more of a fight, some don't. So this championship could be interesting. You know, we saw back in Tier 3 last season at France, Nossman, he didn't win the race. He didn't win the first race. He only won 2 races to win the championship out of the season. The thing is with him, if you look at Nossman's stats, his was kind of up-down, but he was always on that podium. He was always fighting for it. And the thing is, he was always up there. Like, he was never in the far back, but he was up and down sometimes. He'd have some up and down races, but he won Canada and Italy. You know, he won 2 races. Bianchi, I've got to ask you because of Tier 3 last season. Do you think we see, as well, less winners for the championship? We could see another competitive season like Tier 3 opened out to be, or do you think we'll see a season where it's just that maybe 2-car battle and just, you know, maybe 2, 3, 4 guys winning a race most of the time?
That's what I'm feeling it'll be. And if we get anything like Tier 3 again, I don't know what to say if that happens, because 10 different winners, 11
rare.
races is something that it'll take a long time for it to be repeated.
Mapracer, what do you think? You know, how do you think the season will turn out between the championship? Because we saw last season, Nossman didn't even get on the podium in France to start off the season, and he going on to win the championship, and he won it before the fall race. So, how do you look at it?
I really think that one, it's gonna be a very close season, but I think that the people that can stay very consistent will ultimately come out on top every single race. You know, trying not to get into any incidents, making the right strategy calls, of course. But yeah, it's gonna be a very good season.
I look at Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1 tomorrow and say, hey, well, on dynamic weather, Tier 4 had a wet race. Practice for the wet. Because I remember being in the Tier 2 race last season, and I didn't practice for the wet as much. And I struggled in the wet. But yeah, that's the thing. If Tier 3, Tier 1, or if Tier 3, Tier 2, or Tier 1 are in the wet, you need to be on the right tire at the right time. You need to choose the right strategy call, because if anything, you can't be just on the wrong tire at the wrong time. Because
Yeah.
if you are, that's not the way you're gonna win the race or get on the podium. But yeah, tune into Tier 3 tomorrow. I believe Tier 1 is tomorrow as well, Bianchi, if I'm correct. And Tier 2 is on Sunday. Those races should be interesting. I'll be commentating Tier 1. I'll be racing Tier 2, so it should be interesting. Bianchi, I think you'll be racing Tier 3 tomorrow as well, if I'm correct, right?
Yep, I will be. I'll be out on track.
So yeah, there you go. Yeah, anything else you guys got to say about this race or about the other races this weekend coming up?
Really
thank you for
fun.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, everybody. I think this is the most viewed GSR stream we've had so far. 32 viewers. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks for the opportunity for me to commentate. It was really fun, and I feel like I've learned a lot from this, and I hope to continue it in the future.
Hey, Tier 3 tomorrow at 2:15 p.m. Eastern, 7:15 p.m. UK. We return to this same track. Tier 1 tomorrow as well. I'll be back up in the booth as well. Tier 2 on Sunday. You do not want to miss the action. If you miss this action, I mean, there was 32 people at one point seeing this action. Going back and forth. Well, you saw the back and forth action. For the first Tier 4 race, that's incredible. So, we'll have to see what happens tomorrow in Britain. Does it rain? Does it stay dry? We'll have to find out. Thank you guys for watching. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for Tier 3 and Tier 1 and then Tier 2 on Sunday. We'll see you then.